Don't worry, you're on the right channel. And if you are here, chances are that, besides beat'em ups, you also enjoy retro games, and this one I really wanted to talk about. Okay, we all know beat'em ups reign supreme when it comes to, well, any genre in the world, but you can't deny that a good run and gun has its place. But don't worry, the channel will be as it is, focusing on beat'em ups only, and, well, keep listening to the end and everything will make sense. But before all that, hi, I am Savino, and welcome to the Flying Kick channel. If you were at any arcade in the 90s, chances are that you played or at least watched someone playing Sunset Riders. The 4 players Konami classic was one of the few games that took me out of my beat'em ups, and honestly, those were quarters well spent. So you won't believe my surprise when I found out that Monster Bath Games was releasing this game on Steam. I mean, this is Sunset Riders, but in the late 60s and way more groovy. The story here is pretty simple, just like our good beat'em ups. You are part of an elite force tasked to put an end to the criminal rampage that took over San Francisco, led by the powerful and mysterious Big Boss X. As you can see, the story has all the complexity and depth of a beat'em up, and I couldn't be happier. A town I never visited is in danger and I have to murder countless people to save it? Count me in. Add a kidnapped girlfriend and we have an Oscar material right here. But being serious, the game is pretty light on the story, and by light, I mean like a feather. To learn about what I just told you, I have to go to Steam and read it on the game's page. The game's intro doesn't tell you anything about who you are and who you are fighting against. Between levels you won't find any cutscene tell you about the next place or boss you will face. Look, you guys know me well enough to know that this is not a real complaint. But I like to make these things clear for you so you don't get disappointed by the lack of some cutscenes. I'm not sure if their absence was due to a lack of time or the devs simply decided that this is an arcade game and who cares about the story. Knowing Chris, the developer, and you can be sure I don't, I can say with 100% confidence that I don't care. But if there's one thing you should care about in this game, it's the graphics. Let's talk about them. Deathwish is a truly classic arcade game when it comes to graphics. The colors, the sprite styles, the backgrounds, the animations, everything screams 16-bit arcade glory at its best. And you will get a lot to see in the backgrounds filled with details, some jokes, Easter eggs, and some pixelated boobs that is better if I don't show you because YouTube. In the 7 levels you have to complete, you will see a ton of different scenarios, from the streets of San Francisco to inside factories and even the Saturn V launch pad. You can probably wave Neil Armstrong goodbye, but I forgot to try. Unfortunately, not every background was created equal, and some are more detailed than others, with more variety and interesting things happening than. Yeah, I know there isn't much you can do with a highway or inside an apartment building, but it will be clear as water to you that in some moments there is a lack of inspiration, even though everything looks great in the game. Also, you won't be finding too much parallax scrolling here. You have 1 or 2 levels with it, but other than that, you will always be looking at a flat plane. Look, I know this makes no difference and you can have amazing backgrounds that are only one plane, but I'm from the 16-bit era and parallax scrolling will always be important to me, so I will keep complaining every time I miss them. But that's just me, and in no moment this speaks against the quality of the game. Your enemies are also pretty interesting with some personality, although you won't find too many of them here, just like a beat'em up. And here, you will spend so little time with your enemies that the repetition bothers less than in our good and old brawlers. And of course, there are the main characters that will catch your attention from the start. They not only look amazing, and the art here is incredible, but they also have some similarities with certain actors from the 60s. Overall, there's nothing to complain about the visuals here. I'm honestly very impressed by what they did here, except for the lack of parallax scrolling in most levels. And I am also impressed by the soundtrack, really. This is probably the best part of this game, aside from the gameplay, that is. The tunes are all great and seem to have been inspired by the series and shows from that time. I am no musician, but I believe the funk from the 70s is the biggest inspiration here, with guitars and metals taking the front seat in the compositions. It's one of those soundtracks you want to listen to while doing other stuff, and thankfully there's a jukebox in the game, because in the heat of the battle you won't be able to focus entirely on them, and my friend, you will want to. Take a listen to some of my favorites. Good stuff, right? And good stuff is what we will say about the rest of the sound design here. There was a lot of care to make everything sound authentic to the arcades. Loud shots, muffled voices, constant screams. I mean, this is what you want from a running gun to keep your adrenaline levels high all the time.
Live,
This is a game that good speakers can make all the difference to your experience. Experience that would mean nothing if the most important part of the game wasn't on par with it. Yeah, let's talk about the gameplay and shooting. Yeah, not combat, Savino, shooting. Saying that Deathwish Enforced Special Edition is basically Sunset Riders can be more than enough to explain everything you need to know about this game. You walk right, shooting like a madman, you jump and dodge incoming bullets that can kill you instantly. You know the deal, no life bars here. And that's what we will be doing here throughout 7 levels separated in 3 sections each, with the last section being a boss battle. Your controls are pretty basic, although very effective and, most importantly, responsive. Besides shooting and jumping and a little melee attack when the enemies are too close, you also have a special button, which I will explain in a bit, and also a dodge button, which is extremely important in this game. You only have one weapon in this game that changes accordingly to the character, but your gun can be upgraded multiple times. Its basic form is what you expect from this time of game, a basic pea shooter that only fires one shot for each press of the button. Collect silver badges and your weapon will become automatic, increase its fire speed. And a golden badge will increase the size of your shot. They are not cumulative. Subsequent upgrades will grant you only points, but a lot of them. Your weapons will never get too powerful here, and in the later levels the huge amount of enemies that will come from everywhere will prove that to you. And that's why your dodge button is extremely important in this game. You will find upgrades in many ways, hidden inside doors on some levels, being carried by bats and storks, and inside the traditional boxes. And yes, if you die, you lose your upgrades, unless you get some permanent ones by completing the bonus levels. You can also find a suitcase that will grant you one special attack that is extremely powerful, especially against bosses, but just like the upgrades, you will lose it if you die. And being a running gun, of course, the most important thing ever here are points. And to get points, you have a lot of ways. Killing enemies will make them drop coins that grant 100 extra points each. Grabbing extra updates, collecting evidence that can be dropped by enemies or found in boxes, and save kidnapped babes will also greatly increase your score. Well, after all, there are kidnapped girls in this game. Someone hand Chris that Oscar. The game is quite flexible when it comes to difficulty. The game can be tweaked as you want, making it easy enough for those who aren't seasoned in the genre, or a complete nightmare with bullets coming extremely fast from everywhere. There are 5 different levels of difficulty, and you can also choose the number of lives and continues you want up to 9. Continues can be increased to 99 if you beat the game once. You can also set how you will earn extra lives, if any, by setting how many points you will need. The 5 characters you can pick also influence how difficult the game will be. Their weapons can make the game easier or harder for you. Chuck or Cleo can hit enemies from afar that others can't, especially with their weapons upgraded. Yes, they have a clear difference in power and speed, but the biggest difference and what can make the game easier or harder here is how their weapons behave. While the game is pretty awesome and the levels are mostly fun to play, there are some downsides and they are in the bosses. There are some interesting bosses here, but some of them can be pretty annoying. Take for example Payday. She has a shield that protects her from bullets, so your only chance of hitting her is with your melee. It can be annoying to get her pattern right, and your melee attack isn't powerful enough, so the battle drags on forever. The same can be said about the level 5 boss, but while your shots work against him, your window to shoot him will be very small, making the battle once again drag forever. Level 3 doesn't even have a boss, it's a flaming building that you have to escape climbing it up. It's not a bad level, not at all, it's pretty fun, but if you are looking for huge boss battles, you may be disappointed here. There's also a complete absence of anything online. While the game can be played for up to 4 people, it's all local, including the leaderboards. While I'm not really concerned by this, I know a lot of run and gun fans can be very disappointed. Overall, Deathwish and Forces Special Edition is an awesome game. The graphics, the soundtrack and the extremely responsive controls make this game a must-buy if you're into this kind of game. And if you like beaten ups, chances are that you like running guns too. I mean, walk to the right, kill enemies... See? Same thing. Jokes aside, while I may not be the best running gun player, I really enjoy this type of game, and there was quite some time that I didn't have that much fun with a game that isn't a beaten up. I highly recommend this one. But you already knew that, right? I wouldn't be talking about this game here on my channel if I didn't enjoy it a lot. But Savino, will you start to talk about running guns here on the channel? No. The Flying Kick was created to be a hub of all things beaten up and will be kept this way. It may be a shock to you, but I play other stuff that aren't beaten ups. Yeah, it's here, but I do, and you guys will laugh, but there's a genre that I am as passionate as I am with beaten ups, and it is rail shooters. Yeah, gotta love some Virtua Cops and House of the Dead, so I decided to create a second channel to talk about these games and others that don't fit the Flying Kick. The link to the channel will be in the description, and if you enjoy this type of games or just want for some weird reason to listen to more of my bad English, please subscribe. And that's it for the video, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this quick look at this awesome run and gun. And I will be posting some gameplay on the other channel if you want to check it out. Other than that, I hope you all have an awesome day, and remember, keep it up.